Majority of Gen Z have an unfavorable impression of Israel. And my friends, I think the reason for that is that we're losing the digital war. And we have to figure out a way to win the digital battle.
Familiar with the Jimmy Kimmel saga? He came out and said that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was a right-wing MAGA guy, and just completely made it up. And his job is to divide the country and keep us divided. That's what Jimmy Kimmel does. He just does partisan hackery. He does not do comedy. He's never done comedy without an applause sign above his head, so don't forget that. And here is Ben Bernanke. He's going to sum it up for you exactly what a lot of people are missing. Let's listen.
No, this is the best day of my life. No, Jimmy Kimmel got fired. That was and people are like, this is fascism because people are getting fired for what they say. And it's like, motherfuckers were getting fired for not getting an injection 2 years ago. And if you said anything about it, they would literally shut down your entire social media. But that was okay.
But that was okay. That was okay. People were getting fired. People were getting censored. People were getting their social media taken down just for pushing back against a mandated experimental medical treatment, which we now know lots of problems with it. And then they lied about it. They lied about it over and over. That's Ben Bernanke. So I think that's how you say his name. Bankas. Kurt knows him. He's very funny, hilarious. That's the part I can't get over. I can't get over people screaming about censorship of Jimmy Kimmel when what he just said is so 100% on the nose. That they would shut down people getting fired for not taking experimental medical treatments, people getting censored and shut down on social media for questioning it. But now this is what you care? When a commercial broadcaster... and I just want to show you the hypocrisy. You want to see the hypocrisy? Watch this. Remember how the people who are screaming about Jimmy Kimmel's being censored were cheering on censorship when it was their political opponent? Watch this.
Twitter banned the president permanently. Oh, damn! They took away his precious.
Well, Facebook upheld their ban of Donald Trump today for at least another 6 months.
It is so funny to watch the Trump supporters and the Republicans melt down over Tucker Carlson getting fired from Fox News.
Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News. Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways.
Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson after all these years.
Now let's remember Tucker Carlson got fired because he told the truth about the Syrian war and then the Ukraine war and then Big Pharma. He got fired for telling the truth, not by lying. If you lie, you keep your job indefinitely. Jimmy Kimmel's coming back tomorrow night or tonight when you watch this video. You tell lies. The View, ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox News, they all lie constantly. They lie about everything. You don't get fired for lying. You get fired for telling the truth, which is why Tucker Carlson got fired. And, of course, they're all cheering it on.
Evaluated whether or not Trump's tweets violated Twitter policy. They said, no, we could just label it as incitement to violence anyway to get the job done.
Donald Trump's Twitter account just got suspended. Now, the first thing that we need to note is that this is very, very funny.
And even with Twitter, you cannot find actual evidence of any direct government censorship of any lawful speech.
Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg claims he was pressured by the White House to censor content related to COVID-19 during the pandemic.
And direct law enforcement to counter this extremism. We will hold social media platforms accountable.
And when you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very clearly incitement of violence.
there are Americans who are engaged in kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or criminally charged would be a better deterrent.
To stop Tucker Carlson from going on tonight, now that he's seen how he is perverted, slying the truth.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
So that was the vice presidential nominee, a guy who was going to be one heartbeat away from being president, saying you don't get to have free speech if you're spreading disinformation. Well, what Jimmy Kimmel was doing was spreading disinformation. That's for sure. I'm not for him being censored by anybody, but every time you go on a corporate news show, they're censoring you. Every time I've been on corporate television, every single time, and I've been on ABC, I've been on CBS, I've been on NBC, I've been on all the big stations telling jokes, and multiple times, and every time I went on one of those late night shows, they told me what I couldn't say. So that's not what free speech is talking about. You don't get to be paid to go on and have your free speech. If someone's paying you, that's not really actually free speech. So anyway, that's kind of amazing. So Ben Bankus got it 100% right. And there it is. If you want to see the unbelievable hypocrisy, I mean, that's exactly right. Almost, it's almost like you couldn't, it's like if you couldn't make it up. It's so obviously hypocritical. They're cheering on the president being censored and kicked off social media. The president. You can hate the president. They're cheering on Tucker Carlson, a guy who got fired for telling the truth. That's the part they don't tell you. And there is Tim Walz saying that you don't get free speech if you're saying something that's not true. Of course you do. Free speech is absolute. I want to show you one more thing. Of course, all the outpouring of sympathy for Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel contradicts all the people who are defending him. Jimmy Kimmel actually contradicts them 100%. And when did he do that? He did that when Roseanne Barr got fired. You remember when Roseanne Barr got fired? Because she tweeted out what they said was something racist about Jarrett, the Obama advisor. And she immediately apologized. I think she even blamed it on Ambien or whatever, but she immediately apologized profusely. She still got fired, lost her show, lost her career. Guess who cheered that on? Jimmy Kimmel. Here's what Jimmy Kimmel said. And ABC, to their credit, didn't waste any time. They canceled her show today. I'm not a fan of censorship, but this wasn't about free speech. It was about consequences for saying something vile. You can say what you want, but networks don't have to pay you to say it. You just can't blame Ambien for that. Actions have consequences, and ABC made the right call. He said that on May 29th, 2018. This is not about free speech. It was about consequences for saying something vile. You can say what you want, but networks don't have to pay you to say it. You could say that exact same thing about what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. By the way, he's not getting fired. He's being let back on the air, even though his show has horrible ratings. His show gets like 1.1 million viewers. With all the promotion, all the everything, it's on ABC broadcast TV. You don't even have to pay for it on cable. Nothing. And still, it only gets 1.1 million viewers. Joe Rogan gets over 13 million. And he does a 3-hour show. Jimmy Kimmel is doing about 40 minutes of content. An hour show on network television, it's about 40 minutes of content. He gets 1.1 million people. 1.1 million people. Joe Rogan gets over 13 million. And that's for 3 hours. And there he is, of course. Of course he said the exact opposite thing when it happened to his political opponent. Of course. Of course rules for thee, not for me. That's exactly what that is. That's kind of Of course you knew this quote was out there, right? You knew it was going to be out there. And I agree with what he's saying here, by the way. I agree with this Jimmy Kimmel. It was about consequences for saying something vile. You can say what you want, but networks don't have to pay you to say it. I know that. And if I wanted to go on CBS or NBC and ABC and say whatever I wanted, they have a right to tell me no, which they did. They did. I went on and go, here's the jokes I want to do. They go, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that. Here's what we want you to say. Here's the jokes that will okay. That this is nothing new. And people pretending like this is the beginning of censorship because it's happening to someone they agree with politically is beyond insulting. And it's stupid. And of course, Jimmy Kimmel is the thing he claims to hate. He is that thing. He's a partisan hack who never told a joke without an applause sign above his head. He's not doing comedy. And he only challenges power when one party's in power. Let me see, what is this? A few years ago, Jimmy Kimmel told the workers of the Keystone Pipeline to go F themselves after Biden closed the pipeline. Those were average people, not celebrities, not politicians. They were average American citizens working at one of the toughest jobs. So here it is. Jimmy Kimmel told oil workers to go F themselves during a 2021 monologue on Jimmy Kimmel Live. This was part of his commentary on President Biden's executive order revoking the Keystone XL pipeline permit on January 20th, 2021, which led to around 1,000 immediate job losses for construction workers on the project. Kimmel mocked the workers' complaints about the cancellations, dismissing their concerns in his typical satirical style. The remark drew backlash from conservatives and union groups like the Teamsters, who highlighted the impact on 8,000 union jobs. But Kimmel's show continued without major repercussions at the time. So, of course, Jimmy Kimmel is the thing he claims to hate. And, of course, they cheered on the thing that they condemn right now when it served them, because they have no consistency. They have no real character or integrity. This is just meant to keep us divided. I want to show you one more thing. So do you want to see this might be the greatest. Because I don't know if you remember when Don Mays caught this. When Don Lemon, remember when he interviewed Elon Musk? And he was advocating very strenuously that Elon Musk has to censor on Twitter. That you have to make sure that you protect people from hate speech and bigotry. You remember that? And now he says the exact opposite thing now because of Jimmy Kimmel. You want to watch? Watch it with me.
You don't care, you don't think that you have any X.com or you have any responsibility to the truth or moderating? Do you believe that X and you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform?
So he called censorship moderation. That's called Orwellian when you switch words like that. He's calling it moderation. Everybody's for being moderate. No, he's talking about censorship. He's talking about, don't you think you should censor people on X, on Twitter? That's what he's saying.
These posts should have been deleted. So why haven't they been deleted? Why are they still there?
We delete things if they are illegal.
These have been up there for a while. Are they illegal? They're not illegal, but they're hateful and they can lead to violence. If you are doing something that promotes hate and violence and ultimately leads to killing, you don't feel you have any responsibility not to do that? You are a person of consequence to the world with what you do, that there is a certain responsibility that goes along with what you have on your platform and what you put out to the world. I think that there's right and wrong.
The idea of what's bad and what's not, what is that? That's subjective.
Huh. Oh.
So before, when he wanted him to censor, he said there's right and wrong. And you have a responsibility to moderate. Now he's saying nobody can tell what's right or wrong. It's subjective. This is, of course, I would say it's unbelievable, but it's very believable. Because this is what someone with no soul or character or dignity or consistency says, which is what everybody who's been complaining about Jimmy Kimmel, they lack. They have no consistency. They have no character. And they're just partisan hacks. And that's what Don Lemon is. So you saw him saying like, oh, but there's right and wrong. And now he's saying, who's to say what's right and wrong? Okay, I'll keep going.
Who is to determine if a joke is funny or not because you don't like it? Comedians are artists. They're part of the people that we are supposed to protect, especially as it relates to freedom of speech.
So now he cares about freedom of speech. Before, if something's hateful, he wanted it taken down, even if it wasn't illegal. He wanted it to be censored. Now he's standing up for freedom of speech and the right of an artist to offend people.
They give an idea about what's happening in the culture. They do it with humor, and oftentimes you learn things when they say the truth is often spoken in jest. People should be able to say whatever the hell that they want. If I'm watching something on television and there's a remote handy, if I happen to watch TV, linear TV, not so much anymore, but what do? I click it off. I turn it to something else. Perhaps people understand right now that we are dealing with cult-like behavior. Donald Trump fashions himself after being a dictator.
There you go. So before, he was all for being a dictator. He was all for the government censoring people or Twitter censoring people. And he called it moderation. He said there's right and wrong. There's hate speech. We got to protect people. We got to take things down, even if it's not illegal. Now he's all about free speech. And anybody who wants to hamper or censor free speech is a dictator. There are no bigger pieces of garbage in the media than former corporate news hosts, okay? Or current. He's only gotten worse. He hasn't changed one bit. You know, with Tucker Carlson, he had an evolution. Tucker Carlson started out, he repeated corporate talking points and the military-industrial complex talking points around Iraq, and then he realized he was being fed propaganda, and he evolved, apologized for that stuff, and then went on to tell the truth, which got him fired. He got fired for telling the truth about the Ukraine war and about Big Pharma and COVID. Don Lemon got worse. So, of course, again, I would like to say it's unbelievable, but it's very believable because that's the kind of garbage people that fits in right with corporate news. I can't believe he didn't get another corporate news job. So whenever it suits him, he's for free speech, and whenever it suits him, he's for censorship. I'm for free speech. I didn't know you were going to say that. I'm not for that. That's kind of that Mays. That I will say Mays does an amazing job. That was almost unbelievable, but of course it's believable. Okay, and I'll see you in Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, and San Francisco, and then we're going to Australia. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. See you there. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'm going to send it over to Steph, and Steph is going to read the rest of our Rumble rants.
All right, we're all done pretty much. Lorax, thank you so much, the Lorax. And then I have 2 more to read. All it took was a few bullet holes, bomb threat, death threats on staff to get Kimmel back on the air. So who are the violent ones again, Sean? I think, Sean, there's more to it. I think there's probably a lot of legal stuff that was going on behind the scenes as well. What was his contract? What could he say? What are the rules and policies? Actually, inciting violence is not free speech. Kimmel lied to demonize Trump, supports so violence is okay against them. Sean, don't let the oligarchs divide us. And Jimmy, one more question. You should answer this pretty please. Okay. If you were president, what are the first 3 things you would do? You can show Jimmy.
I would give Jimmy Dore the Medal of Honor.
Nice. Okay.
That'd be the first thing.
2 more.
I'd have to think about it, but it would have something to do with getting money out of politics. And then the third thing would be I'd reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act, which banned the government from propagandizing their own people, and that got repealed under Barack Obama. So that would be the first 3 things.
Is there something to overturn what Larry Summers did? Can we overturn Glass-Steagall?
Oh, and Glass-Steagall. I would reinstitute Glass-Steagall if I could. But you can't just do that with a stroke of a pen. That takes congressional action. You have to get all that stuff. But yeah, that'd be a big thing.
And then is there anything that, this whole idea of the Communications Act with Clinton, is that something that can be overturned?
Telecommunications Act? I would break up the big banks. I mean, there's a lot of them, but again, this is nothing you can do with a stroke of a pen. This takes legislation. You have to get the Congress to sign off on it. And yeah, I would break up the big media companies. I would break up the big banks. That's a big start. And I would break up the social media too. I don't know how to do that, but there's people smarter than me that know how to do that.
All right, that's it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back on Wednesday. See you then. Adios. Resist much, obey little. Go fuck up shit. Bye.